Yes.
You mentioned that you started somewhere, and I was curious as to where, when, how you started.
Where and when I started. Actually, I really started when I was a baby. I came out talking and screaming. That's communication. And over a period of time, I continued to talk through my toddlers, and hopefully, I was an instructor in the military, and I didn't necessarily want to join Toastmasters, but I did. And I had an opportunity to listen to myself before I was a Toastmaster, and now, and I just started laughing. It was hilarious because I didn't know. So Toastmasters really helped me define and shape and polish my public skills.
You want to answer that, Clyde, too? Or?
2005. No. It was actually June 1st, 2005 is when I joined. I shared earlier with some people in the audience that I have had the privilege to listen to such speakers as Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and Les Brown. And every one of them said, join Toastmasters. Now, being the bright individual I was, I waited 5 years to take their advice. So I really wasted 5 years, but the growth that takes place, I've always told people that come in, if you decide to join the club, your goal is not to get the first award and disappear. Your goal should be to become a distinguished Toastmaster. Not because of all the nice things you get and the bling and all this wonderful, the plaque and all, which is really nice, but it's because of the person you're going to become along that journey. If you've seen me 12, 13, nearly 13 years ago, no. And then I took on the leadership roles in the district, and that's when my growth took off. And it's helped me throughout all walks of my life.
Anybody else? Alka.
Joey, you love your bling. Can you explain some of those pins you've got there, please?
Basically, Toastmasters, as you finish their manuals and you go through different programs, they have awards that you can get. You can pay for them for yourself. And some of them is like the basic manual is your competent communicator and your competent leaders manual. Then it continues to go on and go on. But with Pathways now, they're having a different educational program. It's a program that's now a lot online. And I wear this mainly for you folks, so you can see. This is something that you can get. Anybody got $1? I'm selling a pin now. I mean, bus fare.
Well, I got my DTM pin. I ain't giving that up.
No, that's all of these in one.
Yes.
How long did it take you to collect all those pins?
I joined Toastmasters in June 2016. And from that point, I became a student of Toastmasters where I did a lot of personal study. I treated it like a college course. And I just started studying and seeing what the requirements were. And my first goal was to make the commitment to become a Triple Crown. A Triple Crown is basically when you complete 3 educational awards in 1 Toastmaster year. So that's from 1 July to 30 June. So that was my goal, and I just continued to go on and go on. And I inspired to be like Clyde, to have that 1 pin, a DTM, and I knew it required me to do a lot of other stuff outside my club. So I've been active from that, and it just keep plucking away, 1 speech at a time.
Any other questions? Well, I guess I'm going to go to some of my questions here.
We have one.
Oh.
Another question.
Oh, sorry.
How do either one or both of you decide what to talk about?
I actually have a series of speeches stashed away, and then I share this also. In Toastmasters, and when it comes to speaking, you become a collector of stories, your stories. Just collect these small stories. And depending on what subject matter you're covering, I guarantee you, you can find a story that helps drive that point home. But you don't want to give out facts and figures. People will do this. We connect through stories. What was it, Russ? You said make a point and tell a story to emphasize that point. And that's exactly what you need to do. So just collect stories. And if you notice, most of Toastmasters speeches are 5 to 7 minutes long. And the advanced manuals get a little bit longer, 20 minutes or so, but I want you to think about this. When I watch Zig do, like I know Zig personally. Mr. Ziegler. If I got to see him several times, and he told the same stories at each presentation. The difference was he customized the story and rearranged it to meet the audience that he was talking to. And so you just start collecting them over years. And you can pick a subject now and I could probably find a story on it.
Pole dancing.
Yeah, well.
Pole dancing? I was in the Marines, and those stories we're not going to talk about.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, the way I've shaped my speech is being the Area 35 director, my responsibility is to go to the 6 clubs and hopefully they be successful. So my latest speeches has been basically talking about a roadmap where I sit at home, I pull data about the clubs and come in and do what's called give a roadmap speech, trying to lay it out for them because we have 6 months left in the Toastmaster year and I want all the clubs to be successful. And this club, this Annapolis club is going to make history. It's going to be the first time that they're going to get 10 out of 10 goals out of the Distinguished Club program. That's good. And when I'm not doing that, I just look at my manuals and see what the requirements are, what the objectives, what are the projects I'm working on, and then I just try to tell it because it's not trying to rush through the program to try to get something, but it's to learn on the way. So my focus is learning the objectives because then I can apply to anything.
Yes.
Do any of your processes and education fall in step with the TED Talk process? There's kind of a formula with TED Talks. I was just wondering if...
I'm going to TED Talks for. I understand they have a time limit.
Well,
18
there's also
minutes.
a formula. There's kind of, and it goes through the whole storytelling process. And I was just...
And when you're learning that, you go to like the first 10 projects. I don't know how it's going to be in pathways. Each project identifies a certain skill, such as organize your speech. The next project is something along the lines of a vocal variety. And I forget all the other ones. Yeah, and you just learn even how to use technology. And by the way, which I don't use anymore because technology always fails. So, and I believe people rely too much on it. But there is a formula, there is a learning that you're going through individual steps. And so when I watch TED Talks, I see the same thing we're teaching inside Toastmasters. I see it as, they're making a point and telling the story. Every one of them has told the story and they're making some point, and they usually limit it down to 3 or 4 at max. They have a strong opening and a strong closing. I don't know where they get that from. Toastmasters.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say.
That's okay.
I would like to know, with the new program for new people coming on, how would you compare the difference in the way that they would instruct you in speaking? To give an example, the icebreaker speech. I know in the manual they give you written directions on how to talk, maybe something that happened, a short story. How is that different from the way they would introduce an icebreaker speech with this new educational program for you to say?
Basically, in the traditional program, the current program we have now, it was a one-size-fit-all. We had our competent communicator and we had our competent leader. Every Toastmaster received those manuals, and as you stated, for the icebreaker, we would then look at the icebreaker and we'll run with it. But with Pathways, it's similar to saying, but they enhanced the program by providing a lot of digital training. You have videos you can go through. They have a lot of clips, a lot of online learning. So I personally know it's going to be a win-win for the new Toastmasters coming in. Granted, it's online now, but when you start being able to look at videos, follow the videos.
So when you said videos, are those videos of different speeches, or are those videos that enhance
Both.
Instructional,
Resources.
instructional video. And
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just now, within a few weeks, I'll switch over to Pathways, so I'm not, but
Mhm.
looking at the layout and what each path contains, I see something I think is great. As you heard, we had the communication track in the old system, the leadership track. And they run parallel, but guess what everyone always focuses on? Communication. The leadership track's almost ignored. I've seen in the path, and every one of the paths that you could take, there is a great mixture of leadership and communication. Because to me, communication is a great tool of a leader. If a leader cannot properly communicate, then they cannot have vision or have people follow them. However, we have a lot of people that can talk but aren't leaders. So and that's what I like about the new one is there's a great mixture of the two paths now together in one. In the old system, I'll go back to even old system. Before the one you currently are in, most people in this room, I don't think there's anybody that knows this one. The original one was to start your CL, your Competent Leadership book, you had to achieve Competent Communicator first. You had to give Competent Communicator, then you could start your Competent Leadership. Then they switched it to Parallel. And now they switched it to being actually wonderfully mixed, to where you have a nice touch on each side.
And each particular level you go through will have videos. Let's take for an example. In our current program, when we do evaluations, we just get a form and we just go through the book. But in Pathways, you can actually look at multiple videos on giving evaluations. So it will enhance learning. It'll make us more sharper. And then when they came out with the rubric for actually doing evaluations, all of us Toastmasters, we're going to be extremely proficient on giving feedback and evaluations because we're going to do it just like in the military. They ingrain it in your head. We're going to learn these different keywords when we're dealing with evaluations, and it's going to be a win-win for all of us.
Any other questions from our audience? No? Yes, Jamie?
Can you be in both things at the same time, like Pathways and Competent Communicator? Because like if you're already halfway into Competent Communicator, but you kind of want to be in Pathways because of all the new education, but you don't want to just, kind of throw away where you've already started, can you be in both, or do you need to pick one or the other, and should you leave Competent Communicator for Pathways?
Jamie, that's an excellent question. Everyone who was Toastmaster prior to 1 November 2017 are on the current traditional track. But once our region migrated over to Pathways, you have the option to work both at the same time. You can still work your Competent Communicator and you can still do Pathways. That's what I'm doing now. My focus is to earn my Distinguished Toastmaster under the system Clyde is on. But I also have to learn the Pathways to help my folks in Area 35. So I'm doing both programs simultaneously, and you hit the nail on the head. If you're almost finished, finish it out. Then jump into Pathways. But if you only gave 2 speeches, then it's up to each individual. There's not a cookie cutter answer. Each individual has to decide which route. And I like your approach. You're halfway finished, bang it out, get the pen, and move on.
What type of time commitment would you say every week, because, most all of us have careers and jobs, what type of time commitment each week would you say, how many hours do you commit to this?
Our club meets,
No, I don't mean the meetings, I mean like for you to do the online and all the
I don't
classes that
mean
you do
about that.
outside of the meeting.
You understand that Toastmasters, we all volunteer, and it is a self-paced program. So each individual have to decide how much time they put into Toastmasters. And one of the things that I did, well, I spent a lot of time in Toastmasters because my focus, I'm task-oriented, and my focus is Area 35 being successful, all the clubs. So I have to think of creative ways to try to get our Toastmasters to come out and give speeches. Because by me speaking here, by Clyde speaking here, that means some members didn't give no presentations today. How you gonna make it up? We have 6 months left. So I came up with something that's called Toastmasters speaking opportunities, where those who want to can come on the weekend and give speeches, and you will be evaluated. So I spend quite a bit of time learning about Toastmasters because it's my college course now. I'm treating it as a college course without the degree.
It's your commitment, your time. That's when it comes out. Even the old system, every system, Toastmasters has always been self-paced. And just to share with you, you know how long it took me to get my distinguished Toastmaster? 6 years. Because I wasn't going in thinking that's what I would do. It happened one day, I got in these leadership roles, and I just started falling. I loved it. I was learning so much, I was getting credit. And I looked down one day and go, oh, I only need 2 more things. What the heck am I not? Let's get this done. But it was 6 years. People have been longer than that, some have been 2. It's completely self-paced. How it works into your life. Because actually, when I discovered with Toastmasters and meeting other people, you meet other opportunities to expand also. I had the opportunity, my first year in, I was approached by someone that does Maryland Business Roundtable for Education. It's a group of volunteers that go out and talk to 8th, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders about choices they gotta make. I've never known about that except through Toastmasters. And they asked me to do that, so guess where I got to talk? And I counted some of them too. So it's just working into your lifestyle. I gave a speech tonight. Who's got my book? Someone's got it. I got evaluated. I'm not getting a verbal one, but my book, and then we're going to talk afterwards, and he's going to give me feedback. Same thing. You give a speech at work. There's a Toastmaster around. Would you mind evaluating? So what does it mean? You have to keep your manuals with you on the old system. But you give a speech, I get credit. I told Joey this earlier. Either I get paid or I get evaluated and get credit for it.
Any other questions?
Just
Lisa.
one quick question. What has been your favorite audience or speech that you have given that stands out in your mind?
Every one of them, no. Stands out. It has to do with the kids, and they're one of the most challenging. I mean, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders can be rough and their thing, but you have to go in realizing that someone in that room is hearing you, and down the road their words will mean something. I don't have a particular one that comes to mind. I just love the experience when I hear somebody. I hear it in a district, they'll say, I heard this said one time, and actually I listen and go, that was me. You know, so I'm going, oh, cool. So that's kind of it actually may come later on. You never know how you're going to touch someone at any given time, but your job is to try to do the best you can at that moment. And let the chips fall where they may. I have a belief that there is no such thing as a bad audience. It's a bad presenter. Your job as a presenter is to engage the audience. It's not their fault they're not getting it, it's your fault. And you need to look at that. Nothing in particular. I've had a lot of fun with a bunch of them. There's so many of them.
Do they have a Toastmasters program for elementary school students?
No. They have a leadership course,
Youth leadership program.
Thank you. That's mostly for high school students. And you have to be 18 to join Toastmasters officially.
Okay, well, I think that ends our Q&A. We're going to take a short break and be back for table topics.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.